Elvis heard the perfect harmony floating from the audience during Love Me Tender, but he couldn't see who was singing. His search for the mystery voice led to the most unexpected duet in rock history. It was November 12, 1974, at the Boston Garden, and Elvis was in the middle of one of his most intimate performances of the year. The crowd of 22,000 was hanging on every note as he performed Love Me Tender, the song that had launched his career and remained closest to his heart. Elvis was standing center stage with just an acoustic guitar, stripped of all the usual spectacle, connecting with his audience through pure music. This was always the most magical part of his shows, when the king became just a man with a guitar, sharing something beautiful with people who understood. He just finished the first verse when something extraordinary happened. From somewhere in the darkness of the arena, another voice joined his maestro, a voice so pure, so perfectly in harmony, that it seemed to float through the air like something from heaven. At first, Elvis thought it might be one of his backup singers joining in early from backstage, but this voice was different. It wasn't trained or polished. It was raw, natural, and heartbreakingly beautiful. Elvis continued singing, but his eyes were scanning the darkened arena, trying to locate the source of this mysterious harmony. The voice seemed to be coming from somewhere in the upper sections, but with 22,000 people and dim lighting, finding one person was like searching for a needle in a haystack. The harmony continued through the second verse, weaving in and out of Elvis's melody with an instinctive musicality that was impossible to ignore. Other people in the audience were starting to notice too, turning in their seats, trying to figure out where this incredible sound was coming from. When the song ended, Elvis didn't move into his next number. Instead, he stood at the microphone, looking out into the crowd. "Hold on, folks," Elvis said, his voice filled with wonder. "Did y'all hear that? That beautiful harmony during Love Me Tender?" The audience murmured in agreement. They had definitely heard something special. "Whoever you are out there, that was the most beautiful thing I've heard in 20 years of performing. Where are you?" Elvis shielded his eyes from the stage lights and peered into the crowd. "Come on now. Don't be shy. That voice is too beautiful to hide." Silence. Elvis tried a different approach. "Tell you what, let's try this again. I'm going to sing Love Me Tender one more time, and I want that angel voice to join me. Maybe this time I can figure out where you're sitting." He began playing the opening chords again, and sure enough, when he reached the chorus, that mysterious harmony returned. This time, Elvis was ready. He focused all his attention on tracking the sound. It was definitely coming from the upper section, somewhere on the right side of the arena, but that still meant hundreds of possible seats. "Closer," Elvis said, stopping the song again. "I'm getting closer. You're up in the right section, aren't you?" "Upper deck." "You know what?" Elvis said, making a decision that would create one of the most memorable moments in concert history. "I'm not continuing this show until I find that voice. You're too talented to stay hidden." Elvis set down his guitar and walked to the edge of the stage. "Security, can you bring me a flashlight? I'm going on a treasure hunt." What followed was unprecedented in rock concert history. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, left the stage and began walking through the audience with a flashlight, searching row by row for his mystery singer, while 22,000 people watched in amazement. "Keep singing," Elvis called out as he climbed the stairs to the upper deck. "I'm going to find you." He started singing Love Me Tender himself, walking through the aisles, and whenever that harmony joined in, he would zero in on that section of seats. It took 15 minutes of searching, but Elvis finally found his mystery singer. In section 314, row mean seat 18, sat a young woman who looked to be in her early 20s. She was trying to hide behind the person in front of her, clearly embarrassed by all the attention. "There you are," Elvis said, his voice carrying through the arena via his wireless microphone. "Don't you dare try to hide from me now." The young woman looked up with tears in her eyes. She was small, maybe 5'2", with long brown hair and the kind of face that was beautiful in its simplicity. She was dressed modestly in a simple blue dress, nothing that would make her stand out in a crowd. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Elvis asked gently. "Rebecca," she said, her voice barely audible. "Rebecca Martinez." "Rebecca Martinez. That's a beautiful name for a beautiful voice. How old are you, honey?" 23. "Rebecca, where did you learn to sing like that?" What Rebecca told Elvis next would explain everything about that incredible voice. I don't really know how to sing," she said, her voice shaking with nerves. "I've never had lessons or anything. I just sing in my church choir back home in San Antonio." "Church choir?" Elvis said, his eyes lighting up. "That explains it. Church is where the best singers come from. But Rebecca, what you were doing, that harmony, that's not something you can learn. That's a gift." Rebecca started crying. "I'm sorry I interrupted your show. I didn't mean to sing along. It's just that Love Me Tender is my favorite song, and when you started playing it, I couldn't help myself." "Interrupted my show," Elvis said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Honey, you just made my show. You turned good music into something magical. Rebecca, I want you to come down to the stage with me." "Oh no, I couldn't," Rebecca said, shaking her head vigorously. "Yes, you can, and you're going to. Because 22,000 people need to hear that voice properly." Elvis extended his hand to Rebecca, and after a moment of hesitation she took it. What followed was a 5-minute journey that Rebecca would remember for the rest of her life. Elvis Presley personally escorted her from her seat in the nosebleed section down to the stage, stopping every few rows to encourage her and tell the audience how talented she was. "Folks, I want you to meet Rebecca Martinez from San Antonio, Texas," Elvis announced as they made their way down. "This young lady has the voice of an angel, and she's about to prove it to all of you." When they reached the stage, Rebecca was visibly shaking. 22,000 people were staring at her, and she was about to sing with Elvis Presley. "I can't do this," she whispered to Elvis. "Yes, you can," Elvis said firmly, but gently. "Rebecca, you've been singing with me from out there in the dark. Now we're just going to do the same thing, except with lights." He guided her to the center of the stage and handed her a microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," Elvis announced to the crowd, "Rebecca Martinez is going to help me sing Love Me Tender the way it was meant to be sung." What happened next was pure magic. Elvis began playing Love Me Tender on his acoustic guitar, and when Rebecca joined in, her voice filled the entire arena with a purity and beauty that left everyone speechless. But this time was different from when she was singing from the audience. Being on stage with Elvis, feeling his encouragement and support, Rebecca found a confidence she didn't know she possessed. Her voice grew stronger, more expressive, more beautiful with every line. The harmony between Elvis and Rebecca was perfect. His experienced, mature voice blended with her pure, innocent sound to create something that was greater than the sum of its parts. When they reached the chorus, "Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfill," their voices intertwined in a way that gave everyone in that arena chills. The audience was completely captivated. You could hear a pin drop in that massive arena as 22,000 people listened to this unexpected collaboration between the king and a church choir girl from San Antonio. When the song ended, the silence lasted for several seconds before exploding into the most enthusiastic standing ovation Elvis had received in years. But the applause wasn't just for Elvis, it was for Rebecca, for the magic they had created together, for the reminder that incredible talent can come from anywhere. "Rebecca," Elvis said as the applause died down, "that was the most beautiful thing I've ever been part of. Would you be willing to sing another song with me?" Rebecca, now glowing with confidence and joy, nodded eagerly. "What's your favorite gospel song?" Elvis asked. "How great thou art," Rebecca replied without hesitation. Elvis smiled. "Mine too. Let's show these folks what real music sounds like." What followed was a performance of How Great Thou Art that transformed the Boston Garden into a cathedral. Rebecca's pure spiritual voice combined with Elvis's power and experience created a sound that was both earthly and heavenly. After the gospel song, Elvis sat down on the edge of the stage and invited Rebecca to join him. "Rebecca, I have to ask you something," Elvis said. "Have you ever thought about making music professionally?" Rebecca shook her head. "I'm just a secretary at an insurance company. I sing in church on Sundays, but I never thought. I'm nobody special." "Nobody special?" Elvis said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Rebecca, you have one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard, and I've sung with some of the best." He turned to the audience. "Folks, what do you think? Should Rebecca be making records?" The response was thunderous. 22,000 people were on their feet, cheering for this unknown girl from San Antonio. "Rebecca," Elvis said, "I want to make you an offer. I want you to come to Nashville with me. I want to introduce you to some people who can help you share that voice with the world." Rebecca started crying again. "Elvis, I can't. I don't have any money. I don't know anything about the music business." "You don't need to know about the business," Elvis said. "That's what managers and agents are for. You just need to sing. And honey, you can sing." Elvis stood up and addressed the audience one more time. "Ladies and gentlemen, tonight you've witnessed something special. You've seen raw talent discovered and nurtured. You've heard what happens when someone with a pure heart and a beautiful voice gets a chance to shine." True to his word, Elvis arranged for Rebecca to come to Nashville 2 weeks later. He introduced her to his producers, his musicians, and his record label executives. 6 months later, Rebecca Martinez released her first album, Voice from the Heart, which went gold within 3 months. The album included her duet with Elvis from That Night in Boston, which became one of the most beloved recordings in both their catalogs. But more importantly, Rebecca's story became an inspiration to countless other unknown singers who dreamed of being discovered. The story of Elvis discovering Rebecca Martinez in the Boston Garden became legendary in music circles. It was proof that great talent could come from anywhere, that sometimes the most beautiful voices belong to people who never expected to be heard. Rebecca went on to have a successful recording career, but she never forgot that it all started with singing along in the dark at an Elvis concert. "Elvis taught me that night that talent without opportunity is just a dream," Rebecca said in interviews years later. "But he also taught me that if you have real talent, and you're not afraid to let it show, opportunities will find you." The story of Elvis and Rebecca reminds us that incredible talent exists everywhere, often hidden in the most unexpected places. It shows us the importance of paying attention to the people around us, of listening for the beauty that others might miss. It also demonstrates that sometimes the most powerful moments in music happen when established artists take the time to lift up newcomers, when experience reaches out to encourage inexperience. On November 12, 1974, Elvis Presley was giving just another concert in Boston. Instead, he discovered one of the most beautiful voices of the decade, hidden in the darkness of the upper deck. Rebecca Martinez came to that concert as a secretary from San Antonio, who sang in her church choir. She left as a recording artist whose voice would touch millions of people around the world. And Elvis learned something that night that he would never forget: that the most beautiful music often comes from the most unexpected places, and that sometimes the greatest gift an artist can give is not their own performance, but the opportunity for someone else to shine. The mystery voice that captivated Elvis that night wasn't really a mystery at all. It was just talent waiting to be discovered, beauty waiting to be shared, and a dream waiting for its moment to come true. If this incredible story of hidden talent being discovered moved you, make sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. Share this video with someone who has talent that deserves to be recognized. Have you ever discovered or been discovered in an unexpected way? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to ring that notification bell for more amazing true stories about the moments when dreams become reality.